So this is the Aspect Virtual User Meeting 2022. If you expected to be in a different meeting, then this is the wrong Zoom link. But thanks for showing up. It's good to see all of you. And we wanted to mention a few ground rules for this meeting. Since this meeting is growing more and more, we need to follow some rules to keep it in order. First of all, please make sure that you mute yourself when you're not currently speaking in a discussion or asking questions. Can be very distracting for the speakers or for other people if we have background noises from someone. But you are able to unmute yourself if you want to ask questions or use the raise your hand button in the participant list to do so. Please, when you feel comfortable about it, then please keep your camera on, because that improves, it makes it easier to interact and to ask questions and to discuss things. As I mentioned, the presentations will be recorded and later uploaded. The discussions will not. You can access all of the material for this meeting if you use the following link. So that's bit.ly/2022-aspect-user-meeting. And I will have this link on all of my introductory slides in the bottom right corner. So it would be useful if you could at least open this in some other browser tab for now. It's a link to a Google Drive folder that includes the program for this meeting. It includes the one-slide introductions, and it also includes the slides for my presentations. And if the speakers are comfortable with it and would want to send me their slides, I can also put their slides in that folder and make them read-only.
I just linked it in the chat, so you don't have to type it in.
Awesome. Thank you, Timo. And then finally, Aspect is a software that is supported by the computational infrastructure for geodynamics, and the computational infrastructure for geodynamics has a code of conduct that applies to all of the meetings that are supported by CIG, which essentially means that we want this to be an inclusive environment, an inclusive community. We don't accept any form of discriminatory behavior, and we would like you to follow this code of conduct. Nothing I'm sure that we need to worry about, but something I wanted to make you aware of. So before we start with the actual meeting and the presentations, I wanted to just for a few minutes to talk about 2021 and what happened in the last year with Aspect, and to give you some updates. So first of all, it's the beginning of the year or the end of the last year, so we should think about what we should be thankful about. And there were a lot of things last year that went well and that we should be thankful about. So we had our second successful fully virtual hackathon in the summer. Despite COVID, we could make a lot of progress. We made some friends. We increased the number of our maintainer team now to 8 maintainers. And I want to, again, congratulate Bob Myhill for becoming one of the maintainers of Aspect. Maybe we can get a round of applause for him. Also, we know of at least 15 more papers that were published using Aspect in 2021, which is great. And we know of at least 27 presentations that used Aspect in some form at the AGU fall meeting, which is a new record for our project. And Lorraine thankfully put together a graph of the AGU presentations using Aspect over time, which shows a nice growth. I wanted to combine this with a request to please report papers and abstracts that use Aspect to CIG, because we can use this to advertise the papers and presentations, but it also helps us justify the support for Aspect. And the more we know about these papers and presentations, the better we can use that information and get resources to support Aspect further. We had continuous development in the code base. You see in the bottom right a graph of the merged pull requests over time on GitHub. Actually, the merged commits, I think, over time on GitHub. And I wanted to combine this with a big thank you to everyone who has spent time and effort last year on making Aspect better for all of us, for the whole community. And there have been many roles and many different tasks that people have done. Timo has spent a lot of effort on reviewing pull requests on GitHub. Thanks for that. Many people have answered questions on the forum or on GitHub, or just advertised Aspect to other people and tried to make your scientific projects work and successful using Aspect. So thanks all of you for that. The other news of the last year were we had an Aspect release that was on July 24th, actually 2021. Sorry for that. And the release notes, as usual, are available on GitHub, and a short version of them are also available on our website and on the geodynamics.org website. Since then, development has continued. We dropped support for DL2 version 9.2.0. So if you, for the next Aspect release, you will require DL2 9.3.2 ideally. I'll talk about that in a second. And we now require a newer CMake version, a newer than 3.1.0, which shouldn't be a problem because DL2 requires the same version. We had in the initial release, there was a bug that I wanted to make everyone aware of that can corrupt checkpoint snapshots for large models, in particular when using DL2 9.3.0. This will not happen if you use 9.3.2, which was a point release that came out later. So if you're running large models and rely on the checkpointing functionality, then it can make sense to update your DL2 to the latest point release 9.3.2 to make sure that you're not at some point end up with checkpoints that cannot be restarted anymore. Known issues like this are now reported in a pinned GitHub issue. So if you go to the GitHub repository and switch to issues, you will see a pinned issue at the top always that is called known issues. And that includes some minor bugs in the latest release, for example, or incompatibilities with some versions of libraries that we know of, and also contain workarounds if there are any workarounds for the problem. I mentioned we had our Hackathon 2021, was the second one that we had fully online. We had 25 participants. We met every day. We had 3 hours of core meetings, and then everyone worked in their time zone. We created a log document that is available on Google Docs if you want to see what happened during the hackathon. As I mentioned, the slides will be available in the Google Drive link. So don't try to type this link if you want to see the document. Just go to the Google Drive folder and click on this link. We had many funny pictures with a lot of minions that were sent out by Lorraine in the care packages to every participant. Since we had a fully online hackathon, we had at least some physical memories that we could use to create memories of the hackathon. And now we're here at the next virtual user meeting. I just wanted to quickly mention that over the time, this meeting has grown much larger than we anticipated. When we first suggested this in 2020, we thought it would be nice to have something like a short mini workshop in the winter that is like the hackathon, but not as hands-on, but more presentation style. And we thought that it may be the same size of the hackathon, but already in 2020, it was larger. It had 35 participants, and it just grew over time. And actually, the latest registration numbers for this year are actually 58. Of course, maybe not everyone will in the end make it, but it seems like this event is actually growing larger than the hackathon in terms of number of participants. So the purpose of this meeting is we want to learn about what happened to Aspect. We will have some presentations. We want to discuss any questions that you have or questions that may be relevant for the future development of Aspect and the discussion sessions. But one of the important aspects is also to just get talking in the community and to maybe find someone who can help you with your models, or find some interesting ideas for what you could do together in the future with Aspect. And that's the purpose of this meeting, really. We want to prepare Aspect for the future. That's everything I wanted to say for now. I will head over to the introductory slides, and we'll just quickly go through everyone who's here and maybe say a few words about yourself and what you do. Try to keep it at less than 1 minute because we have so many participants. We would like to cover all of the topics that we had planned for this meeting and don't want to get off track. So keep it very short.